Are you waking up tired, noticing weaker erections, or feeling like your body just doesn't respond the way it used to? Many men assume this is simply aging, but in my years as a urologist and penis surgeon, I've seen something very different. Small, daily choices quietly affect circulation, firmness, and confidence. Today, I want to talk about one overlooked food that can change how your body performs after 50, but there's a mistake most men make with it. Tell me where you're watching from and consider subscribing for more men's health guidance. But here's what most people don't realize. When men tell me their erections feel weaker after 50, they often whisper it like a confession, as if their body has quietly betrayed them. The story they've accepted is simple. Doctor, I guess I'm just getting old. I understand why that belief feels logical. Energy shifts, sleep changes, recovery slows, but erections do not fade simply because birthdays pass. In my years treating men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, I've seen a different pattern emerge, one rooted far more in circulation than in age itself. An erection is not just a moment of desire, it is a vascular event. It depends on healthy blood vessels that can widen, relax, and deliver a strong surge of blood into delicate penile tissue. When that hydraulic system works smoothly, firmness follows naturally. When it struggles, erections become slower, softer, or unreliable. What many men don't hear is that the penis often becomes an early warning signal for the entire cardiovascular system. The arteries supplying it are small and sensitive. Even subtle declines in vascular flexibility can show up there first, long before chest pain or obvious heart symptoms appear. Inside your blood vessels lives a thin, remarkable lining called the endothelium. Think of it as the conductor of your circulation. It signals when arteries should expand, when they should relax, and how efficiently blood should flow. Over time, this lining can become less responsive. Not because it wears out, but because it becomes irritated by inflammation, blood sugar swings, oxidative stress, and years of silent strain. When the endothelium stiffens, the arteries lose some of their ability to dilate, and when dilation weakens, the quality of erections often follows the same downward slope. Now let's talk about nitric oxide, the molecule most men have never been properly introduced to. Nitric oxide is the chemical messenger that tells penile smooth muscle to relax. That relaxation allows blood to rush in and stay there long enough to create rigidity. Without sufficient nitric oxide signaling, the mechanical process cannot fully engage. The desire may be present, the nerves may fire, but the vascular response becomes muted. This is why some men feel mentally ready, yet physically disappointed. The message is sent, but the circulation does not answer with the same strength. Testosterone, of course, plays a role, but not the role many advertisements claim. Testosterone supports libido, mood, and tissue health. It helps maintain sensitivity and overall vitality, but testosterone alone does not create an erection. I see men with perfectly adequate testosterone levels who still struggle because their blood flow is compromised, and I see others with modest hormone levels who maintain satisfying function because their vascular health is protected. Erections are not governed by a single switch. They are orchestrated by blood vessels, nerves, hormones, and tissue responsiveness working together. Another piece rarely discussed is inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation acts like a slow leak in the system. It damages endothelial cells, reduces nitric oxide availability, and promotes arterial stiffness. You don't feel inflammation the way you feel a pulled muscle. It works quietly, gradually affecting circulation quality. Add to this the natural tendency for arteries to lose elasticity when exposed to years of processed foods, excess sugars, poor sleep, and stress hormones, and you begin to see why firmness may change, not as punishment from age, but as consequence of biology responding to environment. This is also where diet enters the conversation in a powerful way. The foods you eat do not just influence weight or cholesterol numbers. They directly affect endothelial function, nitric oxide production, and microcirculation. Certain nutrients protect vascular flexibility, others accelerate stiffness, some support the chemical pathways needed for dilation, others interfere. When men improve blood flow through targeted dietary choices, I often witness improvements not only in erection quality, but in energy, stamina, and overall confidence. The body responds when given the right signals. I want you to hear something clearly and without fear. A change in erection strength after 50 is common, but it is not automatically permanent, and it is not a verdict on masculinity. It is information. It is your vascular system speaking. And when we listen instead of resign, we discover there is far more influence within your control than you may have been told. But understanding the cause is only half the story, and because one specific nutrient pathway can dramatically change this process. But here's what most people don't realize. When we talk about improving erections, most conversations immediately jump to medications, hormones, or devices. Very few men are told that certain foods can directly influence the same biological pathway responsible for firmness. Not in a mystical or exaggerated way, but through clear, measurable physiology. And among these foods, one stands out for its unique ability to support penile blood flow: beetroot. Beetroot naturally supports nitric oxide production, the molecule that allows erections to happen. Now let me explain why this matters in a way that's simple and practical. Beetroot is rich in dietary nitrates. These are natural compounds, not to be confused with harmful processed additives. When you consume nitrate-rich vegetables like beetroot, your body begins a fascinating conversion process. Friendly bacteria in your mouth help transform nitrates into nitrites. Those nitrites are then further converted into nitric oxide inside your bloodstream. This nitric oxide acts like a relaxation signal for your blood vessels, and relaxation is exactly what an erection requires. Inside the penis are smooth muscle fibers surrounding tiny blood chambers. In a resting state, those muscles remain slightly contracted. When nitric oxide is released, those muscles relax, the arteries widen, blood rushes in, pressure builds, firmness develops. Without sufficient nitric oxide, that relaxation signal weakens and the vascular response becomes incomplete. The desire may be there, but the rigidity struggles to fully form. This is where beetroot becomes so biologically interesting. By supplying natural dietary nitrates, beetroot provides your body with the raw material needed to generate more nitric oxide. More nitric oxide means better vasodilation, the widening of blood vessels. Better vasodilation means improved blood delivery. And improved blood delivery means stronger penile inflow, which is one of the core mechanical requirements for a firm erection. But the benefits don't stop at dilation alone. Nitric oxide also plays a protective role for the endothelium, the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels. Healthy nitric oxide signaling helps reduce oxidative stress, supports vascular flexibility, and improves communication between cells that regulate circulation. Over time, this can contribute to healthier arterial behavior, not just in the penis, but throughout the entire body. Many men notice parallel improvements in exercise tolerance, stamina, and even mental clarity when vascular function improves. Another overlooked effect involves oxygen delivery. When blood flow improves, tissues receive more oxygen and nutrients. Penile tissue is highly vascular and metabolically active. Adequate oxygenation helps maintain responsiveness, sensitivity, and structural integrity. Reduced circulation, on the other hand, can gradually contribute to tissue fatigue and reduced elasticity. Supporting blood flow is not only about immediate performance, it is about long-term tissue health. Now, why does this matter even more after 50? Because nitric oxide production naturally declines with age. The enzymes responsible for generating it become less efficient. Endothelial cells become more vulnerable to inflammation and oxidative damage. Arteries gradually lose some of their elasticity. This does not mean your body is failing. It means the biochemical environment has shifted. The same signals that once flowed easily now require stronger support. Many men over 50 are living with reduced nitric oxide availability without ever realizing it. They simply observe the symptoms: slower erections, decreased firmness, longer recovery time, less consistency. What feels like a sexual issue is often a circulation issue wearing a different mask, and circulation decline affects firmness in very predictable ways. An erection depends on rapid arterial expansion and sustained blood trapping. If arterial dilation is limited, inflow weakens. If inflow weakens, rigidity decreases. If rigidity decreases, confidence often follows. This cycle can become emotionally heavy, especially when men assume it is irreversible. But physiology is dynamic. Blood vessels respond to signals. Nitric oxide pathways can be influenced. This is where I want to set realistic expectations. Beetroot is not a magic pill. It does not create instant dramatic transformations overnight. What it can do is support the biological foundation that erections rely upon. Think of it as improving the quality of the signal rather than forcing the outcome. Men who incorporate nitrate-rich foods consistently often report better responsiveness, improved firmness, and enhanced stamina, particularly when combined with other circulation-supportive habits. Small changes, repeated daily, often outperform dramatic interventions used occasionally, but beetroot only works if your body can properly convert those nitrates. And this is where most men get it wrong. But here's the part almost nobody explains. Many men start eating beetroot, drinking beet juice, or adding nitrate-rich vegetables to their meals and feel absolutely nothing change, no improvement, no difference. That's when discouragement sets in. See, doctor, it doesn't work for me. And I understand that frustration because I see it often. I see patients who eat the right foods but unknowingly block the benefits. The issue usually isn't the beetroot itself. It's the conversion process. Remember, dietary nitrates must be transformed into nitric oxide. That transformation depends heavily on something most people never consider: the bacteria living in your mouth. Yes, your mouth. When you chew nitrate-rich foods like beetroot, friendly oral bacteria begin converting nitrates into nitrites. These nitrites are then swallowed and further converted into nitric oxide inside your body. Without those bacteria, the pathway weakens. And one of the most common disruptors is something many health-conscious adults use daily: strong antiseptic mouthwash. Antibacterial mouthwash doesn't just kill bad breath germs, it also wipes out beneficial bacteria needed for nitrate conversion. Studies have shown that frequent use of potent antiseptic rinses can significantly reduce nitric oxide production. In practical terms, you may be eating foods designed to improve blood flow while simultaneously shutting down the very mechanism required for them to work. This doesn't mean you must abandon oral hygiene, it simply means balance matters. Gentle rinses, good brushing habits, and avoiding excessive sterilization of the mouth can preserve this helpful bacterial ecosystem. But the mouth is only the first checkpoint. Your gut microbiome also plays a supporting role. The community of bacteria in your digestive tract influences how efficiently nutrients are processed and how vascular signals behave. A disrupted gut, often affected by poor diet, chronic stress, repeated antibiotic use, or highly processed foods, may reduce the downstream benefits of nitrate metabolism. This is why two men can eat identical diets, yet experience different outcomes. Then there are medications. Certain drugs, especially those affecting stomach acid or circulation dynamics, can subtly interfere with nitrite-nitric oxide conversion. Proton pump inhibitors, for example, may alter the chemical environment needed for optimal nitric oxide generation. This does not mean you should stop prescribed medications. It means awareness is important. When men tell me nothing works, I review not only what they eat, but what else is influencing their physiology. Preparation methods matter too. Beetroot is sensitive to excessive heat. Overcooking can reduce nitrate content, weakening the very compounds responsible for nitric oxide support. Boiling for long periods, aggressive roasting at very high temperatures, or prolonged storage after cooking may all diminish potency. Light steaming, gentle roasting, or consuming beetroot raw or freshly juiced often preserves more of its beneficial properties. And this brings us to another common question: juice or whole beetroot? Beet juice delivers nitrates quickly and efficiently. It's convenient and rapidly absorbed. However, whole beetroot provides fiber, slower digestion, and additional supportive nutrients. Juice may create a faster physiological response, while whole beetroot supports broader metabolic health. Neither is universally better. The ideal choice depends on tolerance, digestion, blood sugar considerations, and consistency of use. Timing is another subtle but important factor. Nitric oxide production from dietary nitrates is not instantaneous. Levels tend to rise within hours after consumption. This means beetroot is less like a last-minute switch and more like a primer. Men expecting immediate effects minutes after eating are often disappointed. Regular intake, aligned with your body's rhythms, typically produces more noticeable benefits. Let's also talk about portions, because more is not always better. Extremely large quantities do not guarantee stronger effects and may cause digestive discomfort in some individuals. A realistic, sustainable amount, such as a moderate serving of beetroot or a small glass of beet juice, tends to be more practical. Consistency outperforms intensity. Your vascular system responds to patterns, not occasional extremes. When these factors align, healthy oral bacteria, preserved nitrates, supportive gut environment, realistic timing, the nitric oxide pathway can function far more effectively. But even then, I want you to understand something important. Nitric oxide is a powerful piece of the puzzle, but it is not the entire picture. And even when conversion works perfectly, firmness still depends on another factor most doctors never connect to erections. But here's what most men are never told. Even when blood flow improves, even when nitric oxide signaling strengthens, erections are still governed by a three-part partnership: circulation, hormones, and nerves. If one of these systems struggles, the others must work harder to compensate. And after 50, this coordination becomes more delicate. Not broken, just more sensitive to imbalance. Let's start with circulation, the foundation. An erection is, at its core, a hydraulic event. Blood must enter quickly, expand the penile chambers, and remain trapped long enough to create firmness. Healthy arteries must dilate, smooth muscle must relax, venous outflow must temporarily compress. When vascular health declines from stiffness, inflammation, or endothelial dysfunction, the mechanical strength of erections often softens. This is why strategies that support blood vessels like nitrate-rich foods, exercise, and metabolic health are so important. But circulation alone is not enough. Testosterone plays what I call a permissive role. It doesn't flip the erection switch directly, but it allows the system to respond properly. Adequate testosterone supports libido, mood, tissue maintenance, and receptor sensitivity. When levels fall too low, men may notice reduced desire, lower spontaneous erections, and less responsiveness to stimulation. Yet this is where nuance matters. Many men assume any erection change must be low testosterone, when in reality, vascular factors are often dominant. Hormones support the environment, blood flow executes the action. Then we have nerves, the communication network. An erection begins in the brain but travels through a complex neural pathway. Signals move from mental arousal to spinal centers, then outward through delicate penile nerves. These nerves trigger nitric oxide release and smooth muscle relaxation. Over time, nerve sensitivity can change, not vanish, but dull slightly. Conditions like diabetes, chronic stress, pelvic surgery, or long-standing vascular disease may reduce neural efficiency. Men describe this as less sensation, slower response, or weaker excitement. It's not simply psychological. It's biological signaling under strain. Sleep, surprisingly, is deeply involved in this equation. During deep sleep, men experience nocturnal erections, natural cycles that nourish penile tissue with oxygen-rich blood. Think of them as nightly maintenance. They help preserve elasticity, smooth muscle integrity, and vascular responsiveness. Poor sleep disrupts this restorative process. Fragmented sleep, sleep apnea, chronic insomnia, all can reduce these protective erections. Over years, this may subtly contribute to reduced firmness and tissue vitality. When men improve sleep quality, I often see parallel improvements in energy, mood, and erectile consistency. Blood sugar is another silent influencer. Elevated glucose damages blood vessels and nerves simultaneously. It stiffens arteries, injures the endothelium, and impairs nitric oxide production. At the same time, it disrupts nerve conduction. This dual effect is why erectile changes are so common in men with insulin resistance or diabetes. What appears to be a sexual issue is often metabolic stress, revealing itself through vascular and neural pathways. Stabilizing blood sugar isn't just about preventing complications. It's about protecting circulation and sensitivity. Now, here's the reassuring truth. These systems do not operate in isolation. They influence each other constantly. Better sleep supports testosterone regulation. Improved circulation enhances nerve function. Balanced blood sugar protects vessels and neural tissue. Reduced inflammation improves endothelial signaling. This is why lifestyle synergy matters more than any single intervention. No pill, food, or hormone works optimally in a body fighting against poor sleep, chronic stress, sedentary habits, or metabolic imbalance. I tell my patients this gently but clearly. Your body is not failing you. It is responding to the environment you've given it. After 50, the margin for neglect narrows, but the capacity for improvement remains remarkably strong. Blood vessels can regain flexibility. Nitric oxide pathways can be supported. Hormonal balance can be optimized. Nerve health can be protected. The key is understanding that erections are not controlled by one switch, but by an orchestra of systems working together. And this is why fear-based thinking is so harmful. When men assume decline is inevitable, they stop sending their body the signals required for recovery. But physiology is adaptive. When you improve circulation, protect hormones, restore sleep, and stabilize metabolism, the body often responds with better energy, stronger function, and renewed confidence. Which brings us back to the real message I want every man over 50 to hear. But here's what I truly want you to take from this conversation. If you've been feeling more tired, noticing weaker erections, or quietly wondering if your body is simply slowing down, you are not alone. These changes can feel deeply personal. Many men interpret them as a loss of vitality, a fading of masculinity, or an unavoidable part of aging. I want to gently challenge that belief. Your body isn't broken. It's responding to signals. Everything we've discussed points to a simple but powerful truth. Erections reflect circulation, hormones, nerve function, sleep, and metabolic balance. When those systems are strained, the response changes. When they are supported, the response can improve. This is not wishful thinking. It is how physiology works. The body adapts continuously to the environment it lives in, and that means influence is still in your hands. Small, steady adjustments, the foods you choose, the sleep you protect, the habits you repeat daily, send new instructions to your vascular and nervous systems. Over time, those signals can restore responsiveness, strengthen function, and rebuild confidence. Not overnight, not magically, but gradually and realistically. Most importantly, none of this defines your worth. Changes in erection quality are a health message, not a measure of your dignity. With the right support, many men experience meaningful improvement well beyond 50, 60, even 70. Calm action, not fear, is what moves the needle. And now let's close this with something equally important. If this conversation helped you understand your body more clearly, consider joining our community by subscribing. My mission is simple: to help men over 50 protect their strength, confidence, and independence with calm, practical guidance. You're not alone in these changes, and you're certainly not without options. Here, we talk honestly about real physiology and real solutions. In the next video, I'll walk you through a quiet nightly habit that supports vascular repair and natural hormone balance while you sleep. Until then, take care of your body. It's still listening.